Hi, Kaylee. I'm just going to give it a couple more minutes and see if anyone else pops on because RJ had emailed me and said he couldn't come and Addie couldn't come and Jared and Parker are running a little bit late. So I'm going to give it a few minutes and then we'll get started and see if anyone else joins us. All right, well, while it's just you and I on here, Kaylee, do you have any specific questions about what you are doing this week?
I don't think so.
Okay. And did you send in your drawing for this week, your foreshortened drawing?
Yes, I did.
Um, Let me look, 'cause I don't have it open. When did you send it?
Yesterday.
Hmm. I wonder if I moved it to a folder. Let me look. I don't think I did. Let's see. Oh, this might be it. I'm waiting for what I think it is to open. Hey, no bellow. Oh, no, that's not. Can you send it again? I don't seem to see it in here.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, here it is. I'm lying. I have it. I knew I looked at it. There we go. All right. So one of the things that you guys are working on this week are deciding if there's any pieces from your concentration that you want to redo. What are you thinking about that?
Um, I was looking at 3. It was
Okay,
hold on a second. Let me pull it up.
sure. I'm just putting your image up on the thing. There we go.
It was the one with the girl in the umbrella in the rain I
Okay.
was going to rework.
Uh-huh.
The one with the mountains, the
Okay.
black and white mountains, and then the one with the well.
Okay. And which one are you feeling kind of the most interested in working on now or like the most comfortable with what you should do with it?
Probably the girl with the umbrella.
Okay. So then that's, this week you're not actually starting the redoing process, kind of breaking it down. So this week you're spending some time reflecting on what you think you want to do to it so that you can get a little bit of time to think about it, get some feedback from me, and then you'll have some more time next week to go in and rework the piece. So since you're already working on the breadth, I'm trying to break the redos into small, tiny bits so you don't feel really overwhelmed. How are you? How'd you feel about the pieces that you did this week? I know you sent two.
Yeah, I've always had trouble with proportions, so my mom was looking at it and she's like and we both said that like something's off about it, but we couldn't put our finger on what was off about it.
Okay.
So I was like, I don't know what's off, but something's off.
What made you decide to draw what you drew?
I really like enjoy bow and arrows and stuff. I don't do it, but I think it's really cool because I'm into like Hunger Games and stuff like that, and it's really cool. And I think it would be, I thought it would be a cool angle to have it right in front of the bow and arrow and like coming out at you.
So were you looking at a picture when you drew it?
Sorta. I was looking at a bunch of different pictures and like putting them together in my mind, sort of like.
I'm gonna flip over and pull it up. So since you were having trouble with proportion, and since it's just you and I right now, we might as well just chat about it. So I'm gonna switch to that screen. Okay, so let me go to this first one. So are you seeing your drawings now?
Yes.
Okay. I have to click on the other screen to switch. All right, so that's what I was trying to get to. So when you look at this one, what feels off to you about it?
The hand and the arm in the front.
Okay.
That's like holding the bow?
Gotcha. Let me, I wouldn't say that that's like incredibly proportionately off. I think what it is more is that the arm itself is like super, super straight. So you could add, and the arm itself, the width is all the same. So thinking really when our arm is outstretched, that from our elbow, I'm like sitting here like you can see my arm, I'm pointing to my arm and realize you can't see what I'm doing. That when your arm is outstretched from your elbow down, it gets skinnier. And so here, it pretty much looks like it's the same width from all the way up to down, which part of that is then messing with the proportion of the hand.
Mm-hmm.
This part, so even her shoulder, she's a little bit like scrunched in, like she doesn't quite have a neck, or like her shoulder could probably pop out just a little bit wider. And then this part of the arm is going to be a little bit thicker and start to get narrower, which then will probably cause you to shrink the hand a little bit, but the hand also is not going to look nearly as big if it's coming into a smaller wrist. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and I think part of what's confusing you about the proportion then is because the shape is off. So what I would do is get a couple images of just a person really with their arms like stretching straight out in front. Another thing that can be really helpful if you're struggling getting the right shape down is like print one of those two images out and spend some time drawing right on top of that image so you can really understand how your pencil would move and how that feels. And I wouldn't worry about erasing all of this. Just start to go in and draw and work right on top of it.
Okay.
Let me switch to the other one. So I think before we talk about this one, this one has some more interest to it with this kind of blur taking place. It's creating more depth in the piece, which is kind of intriguing, and there's some really great movement that we're feeling. So I think overall this has a little bit more action and interest happening in it. So once you work on the proportions, a little bit of this arm, and what could also be interesting to push and bring in some more contrast is to really bring, like make this hand up front and the wood of the bow really highly detailed. So maybe we see some grains in the wood. If this isn't wood, you could actually bring in some color to this piece. And on the hand, really bring in the shapes of the knuckles. You could also, if you're not super comfortable drawing that, you could play with like collaging a hand into it. But I think what could just really push this piece a little bit farther and make it look really finished and grab your attention is having just a little bit in the front super detailed and then leaving this as it goes back not quite as detailed. Could be cool.
Okay.
So this one, I'm thinking this one, like, so the detail of this hand, do more of that in the last hand.
Mm-hmm.
Because her fingers and everything are really coming to life, which is interesting. The proportion on this is really the same thing that we were talking about in the last one. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Of like the arm is and that's the kind of confusing and foreshortening is challenging to do. The other thing that sometimes really helps people is coiling. So you start drawing a bigger circle and keep coming down and getting narrower where her elbow would be, and then a little bit bigger for the wrist, and then bumping into the hand. So you're actually just drawing circles, which is a very natural feeling for us. And you can do it on a piece of paper just to practice it first, like a scrap. But you'll see the arm just naturally comes into form pretty easily, and then you can flush that out. But that's all it is that you have the right direction and the right idea. You just need to give us the still, like she needs to have an elbow and a wrist.
Okay.
And then she'll be fine. But you don't have to redo all of that. I would focus more on the first one because I think the first one has some really fabulous like energy and catches your eye with the like blurred bow coming at us is really fun. So you're ready to rock and roll. Well, what we're going to do, since it's just you and I, and then you can just check this off of your list. So for everyone else, I'm gonna put these images on a Google Doc and have them go in and do some written critiques for people. Which, if you prefer to do that, I'm not going to force you to do this. Or you can just hang out on here and we'll look at a couple and chat. Okay. You want to do that?
Yeah.
All right. Our own private hangout. At least someone showed up, so I'm not all alone. Okay. So these are, oh, and I forgot I was playing with these and I didn't put them back to what they were. Oh, well, Addie will forgive me. So these are two pieces that Addie did, and this is the one that she was looking at as being her final one. And she sent me this one as well, and so then I started playing with them. And this was an image that I just sent to her that I said I thought it also could be sort of interesting if she actually used both of the pieces. And this one I flipped upside down. That's like the beauty of the internet. You can play with all of your pieces and put them up against each other. So, and this would be, you can kind of look at too, because she has a little bit, now she got, her hand is open where your figure's hand is closed. So her hand helps to block out that she didn't have to draw very much of the arm. But it might give you a little bit of help as you're looking at that. And she's been kind of interested in playing with paper cutting, so that started to show up in this one. So I would love to hear from you as you're looking at both of these pieces. Which one are you more attracted to, and why?
I think the one on the left, because of the background, is darker and like it has more contrast to the figure because the figure is white.
Mm-hmm.
And I also really like how her back looks bent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another thing that Addie asked about this one, so we'll get your feedback on it, was she said she spent a lot of time moving around the placement of the striped pieces of paper. So how do you feel about the placement? Do you like it? What do you think it's doing? Or do you think that something needs to move?
Um, I think I like it. It shows where like the legs are and like what direction they're going in.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you like a sense of like where her body is moving.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking too as I was looking at it, since she has her hand out and she's on this swing, that with these broken triangles, it sort of looks like she just like busted through it,
Mhm.
which is kind of an interesting feel. She looks very powerful and like I just came flying through a wall or something and I'm still totally fine. I thought it was kind of fun. Let me switch to the next one. So this one is Parker's, and he did say that this is still in progress. So one of the things that he wanted to do this week was really try to work in a much larger size. So this piece is 18 by 24, which is double the size of what he's used to working in. So when you look at this, what is the first thing that catches your eye?
The eyes actually because they're very dark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are. They're kind of, it looks like you could actually get into them.
Mhm.
Um, what is, especially since this isn't finished, what is one thing that you're thinking, like, I wonder what would happen if he tried this, or it would be interesting to see him do this?
Well, the face looks a little bit like it's almost a building, so I think it would be cool if he made it sort of into a building, sort of like, so it's sort of different.
Hey, that it does have some building, like building block feels to it. Hi, Jessica. So right now, Jessica, we're just looking at people's work that came in, and it was just Kaylee and I, so we were having a chat, but you can join us now. And we'll see if anyone else shows up, but that's what's happening. So Jessica, this is Parker's piece that we're looking at right now, and he's still in progress on it. One of his goals this week was to work much bigger than he has in the past. So this is 18 by 24, which is double of what he has been working on. So let's see, what do I want to ask you? So when you look at this piece, what is the first thing that catches your attention? And you can type or chat. The face is the first thing that catches your attention. And why do you think that is? What draws you to it? It does look kind of Egyptian. It has a little bit of a like a mummy feel to it, and sort of, I mean, the eyes kind of look like the eyeballs have been taken out of the sockets. So since we are working with foreshortening this week, and either one of you can chime in, do you currently feel like you see a lot of foreshortening taking place in this piece? Jessica, I think that the colors are really nice and it gives an interesting feel. So thoughts on if you think you see foreshortening where, if not, what do you think might be an interesting way to add it in?
I think there's some foreshortening on the nose.
Yeah, there could be. It does look like the nose has a different kind of perspective happening, taking place on it. What do you think could, if he wanted to, oh, here, I just saw Jessica typed. I think the angle of the head might be considered as foreshortened, but I'm not sure. Yeah, that could be starting to happen to it. If you're, so looking at this, what's one way that you think could be really an interesting way to bring something, some kind of dramatic foreshortening into it?
He can like have a hand reaching out as like if it's the person's hand coming to grab something or something like that.
That would be an option. Maybe by including an arm. Yeah, I could even see, because this is already looking a little bit kind of creepy, something like reaching out of the eyeballs, just to keep going with the creepy feeling of it. All right, let me go to just in time. We have Jessica's. So Jessica, why don't you tell us, since you're on here, tell us a little bit about your inspiration for the painting that you did, and then how you felt about working with foreshortening. Oh, that's fun. So this is a painting of your little sister. Did she pose for you, or did you take a picture of her? I saw a lot of examples of figures as foreshortening, so I wanted to try a dancer. She gave me the picture. Cool. Let's see. So Kaylee, this is a pretty easy, well, I shouldn't say it's easy. You never know what's an easy question. So looking at this piece, just what's your overall general impression of the piece?
I really like it. The pink really stands out because it's a light color against the dark colors of the background.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like the leg because it sort of looks like it's popping out.
Yeah, it does. What size is this piece, Jessica? "12 by 9. Cool. Yeah, I think you did. I think you did an overall good job. Is there anything when you're looking at it that you were kind of frustrated about, or were unsure about? Excuse me, unsure about, that you want specific feedback on? Oh yeah, I remember you telling me that. It's not completely finished, but I wanted to know how I could make it more interesting in the background. So before I share my thoughts, Kaylee, do you have any ideas of what she could add in the background to potentially make it more interesting?
Maybe she could add like maybe a few more dancers in the background, but are like not as detailed as the first one. Or maybe you can have like a dancing bar, like how they have in the studios or something like that.
Mm-hmm. My first thought was what Kaylee said about having a few like really simple like silhouettes of dancers in the background. The dancing bar that she said was a good idea, which I didn't even think of, and would be pretty simple. You could even put the bar, and maybe if you don't want to bring any dancers into it, there could be like like a pair of ballet shoes strung over the bar. If you want to go a little bit more complicated, you could paint it like there's the mirror on the wall and there's a reflection in it. I think any of those things would help it out, but the colors that you have happening in the background are really nice, with the blues and greens and browns kind of blending up against the pink. She looks very soft and delicate. How does your sister feel? Does she like the painting? I have to scroll. She loves it. She is so excited. How old is your sister? She's 15. Awesome. I bet she loves it. Everybody loves when someone makes them into a beautiful painting. Okay. And then, so this one is RJ's, and I don't think he had any specific questions written down. So we'll start with For this one, Jessica, if you can describe what you see in this piece. So what are some things that are catching your eye? How is your eye moving throughout the composition? And I'm going to pick a question for you, Kaylee, so you can contemplate while Jessica is typing away. Let's see. We'll do this one. So Kaylee, for yours, what title would you give to this piece, and what makes you choose the title that you're making? All right, Jessica, I see cartoon characters. I like the Mountain Dew can in the center. So if you can kind of take us, oh, you're still typing. I would like to know his reasoning for it. Well, we'll tell him to answer that after he watches the recording of this video. So Jessica, can you tell us, when you look at this piece, where does your eye start, and then where does it move throughout the composition, and or do you feel like it gets stuck at any point? And Kaylee, whenever you feel like you have a title, you can chime in. All right, so Jessica says it starts at the Mountain Dew can, and then it moves to the white figure in the back, but I do not really get stuck because there's a lot going on, which is good. The goal is not to get stuck. And Kaylee says a day with cartoons. Yes, that works for me. I think looking at the overall piece, that maybe, again, it's always challenging to put the subject right in the center, especially since everything is looking straight at us. The good thing about the composition is that the characters form a really nice triangle that kind of keeps bouncing around, but more interest could be brought into the piece, like if this character was kind of faced in this direction, or if he was bent over trying to pick up the pencil, or even if he was holding the pencil and drawing something. He could even be, there could be a character that's laying on the page that's starting to come up, so we're seeing the character come to life as it's being drawn, are a couple ideas that would kind of make the overall thing just a little bit more interesting, even more dynamic as a composition. And now Kaylee and I had a little chat about these, but since Jessica's on, you can join us. So Kaylee sent two pieces. Is that the Abbey wrote on his cup in the piece? Hold on, I have to back up. That we're gonna have to add to our list of questions for him. I can't, it's not quite big enough for me to be able to tell. So RJ, when you listen to this, you need to tell us your reasoning behind it and the image on your cup. So Kaylee and I were discussing the one thing she knew was wrong but couldn't figure out what it was, which often happens. So she knew looking at this that proportions were off somehow but couldn't really figure out what it was. So what's your opinion, Jessica, on what kind of is off in the drawing? Oh, sorry. Yep. So when you're looking at it, kind of proportion-wise, what do you think isn't quite right in the drawing? I don't think that the backhand looks quite right. I was wondering what the oval shape in the middle of the piece is. So Kaylee, do you want to tell her a little bit about the piece itself?
Yeah, I did like a bow and arrow, so the oval thing is like the arrow coming out at you. So, yeah.
Cool. So the hand in the back, it could have a little bit more detail. So some of what we were talking about was that this arm here, the overall arm shape is all the same size. So she needs to vary and get like skinnier where the elbow is and bring in the wrist. And then I had recommended to bring in really make the hand in the front super detailed and this part of the bow really detailed. So they just like pop out, grab our attention, and let everything behind it lighter and kind of looser to create an interesting contrast in the piece. And let me flip to the second one. So this is the other one, which the detail in this front hand is more what I want her to do in the other one, but it's not quite as dynamic of a piece. This part is a little bit off to kind of like how the arm is bent, but I thought the moving bow kind of shooting at us was really interesting and captured our attention. So those are all of the pieces that were turned in this week. Jessica says she really likes your pieces, Kaylee. So Kaylee said she's good about this week. Do you have any questions for what you're doing this week, Jessica? If you have, okay, you're good to go. Awesome. So you guys will see, and just so you know, this counts for that. What I'm going to do, since most of the people weren't on the call today, is I'm going to put together like a Google Doc so people can go in and do some written commentary. So you will get feedback from some more of your classmates from your pieces, but the two of you do not have to do that because you just did it right now. So I just want to make sure you know that when you see that up on the site, you are already getting all the points for it and you're done, which is always nice. So thanks for the two of you showing up so I wasn't hanging out here all by myself, and keep up the good work. I'm really enjoying seeing your pieces coming in and seeing your work grow. Are you guys enjoying the breadth section, having a little bit more freedom than you did in the concentration? Kaylee says yes with 2 exclamation points. Jessica's thinking or typing more. And Jessica says yes. Yeah, it is always kind of a nice transition. All right, well, I will chat with you again next week. And as usual, if you're having trouble with anything, shoot me an email and I will help you out. I'll talk to you later. Bye.